Are you ready for pain? Are you ready for suffering? If the answer is yes, then you're ready.
So this is an awkward topic, but we're gonna go ahead and get awkward and talk about it. I don't fit in a standard airplane lavatory at all. Forget the difficulty of having to get 2 seats to fly. Accessibility to a bathroom is the #1 roadblock for me when it comes to long distance travel. While I was researching solutions to this, I found this website, wheelchairtravel.org. They have a really great article on wheelchair accessible airplane lavatories. This is where I learned that US law requires wheelchair accessible lavatory on all wide body crafts, but they don't make the same requirement for narrow bodies. So if I'm flying on a narrow body airplane, I can't use the bathroom and my maximum flight time is about 6 hours. I've never had a problem with that before, except once I came super close to having an accident on a flight from San Francisco to Chicago. There was some bad weather and my plane was rerouted. They tacked on an extra 2 hours to the flight and things got a little sketch, but that's a story for a different day. Wide body planes are used for long haul flights. So if you're going someplace pretty far away and you're going to be on the plane a long time, there's going to be at least one wheelchair accessible lavatory on board that's also big enough for a big person to use. When I flew to Spain, I flew on a United Boeing 777-300ER, and this is a wide-bodied plane. It has 2 aisles, which makes it wide body. And when they had us enter the plane, they had us come in at the front. So I checked all of the lavatories on the way to my seat to figure out which one was the big one. The 2 business class lavatories at the very front of the plane are standard size and they are too small for me. A little further back on the plane, there are 2 more business class lavatories, and even though they look like they're the same size on this seat chart, they are not. The one on the right is a standard size lavatory, which I don't fit in, but the one on the left is the wheelchair accessible lavatory. It's about twice as big as a standard one, and I fit in this just fine. The issue is I don't fit in business class seats. I also don't fit in premium seats, so I need to sit in economy. In economy, the very first row 30, uses stationary armrests, so those don't work for me, which means row 31 is the frontmost row that has seats that have arms that go up and down, and that's where I try to get my seats. On this plane, the larger bathroom in business class was the only one that I could fit in. So whenever I needed to use the restroom, I had to go up to that cabin. The first time I went, I called the flight attendant from my area to let her know what was going on. And then she went and told the flight attendant in the business class area so that she had a heads up on why I was using that bathroom too. I know this seems really scary and overwhelming, but it's not that bad, and peeing up in the sky is so liberating. You're going to feel great on the walk back to your seat, and by that point, you'll be about halfway through your trip to wherever you're going.
So you want to hear my hot take on plus size travel and why I think every plus size traveler should get a free second and even third seat on an airplane? Then you better keep watching and sign my petition to make some real change. Let's just state facts. Plus size travelers need more space. And many people agree that plane seats are too small, even for the average size person. As a plus size traveler myself, I know how uncomfortable and unsafe it can be to squeeze into a tiny airplane seat. We are not asking for special treatment or luxury accommodations. We simply want enough space to travel comfortably and safely without fear of being discriminated against because of our size. It's truly that simple. If you agree that every traveler deserves to fly comfortably and without fear of discrimination, then go ahead and please sign my petition and share it with everybody that you know. Let's work together to make air travel more inclusive and accommodating for everyone.
Okay, I'm a fat woman traveling, and
so I wanted to respond to this woman's video because this is such an incredibly important issue that I think thin people and straight size people don't think about at all. There are a lot of comments saying, well, if you take up half the seat, then what about the other person? It's not their fault that you can't fit into your seat. And the bottom line is that making travel accessible is good for everybody, not just the people who can't do it without the accessibility. There was another comment where someone said, what do you expect them to do, make the planes wider? And that's not really the point. The point is that over the years, sizes of airplane seats have gotten smaller and smaller solely so they can fit more people on a flight and make more money. And it's been a long time that this has been happening. This isn't sudden. The size of airplane seats started decreasing in the 1980s. I actually wrote about this exact thing for Global News a couple years ago when I was a reporter there. My article references an article from the New York Times, which says, while the seating density is being increased in economy class, meaning there's more people they're shoving into economy, the seats in business class are being made bigger. And this also has a lot to do with how expensive fuel is now. It keeps going up and up and up. And so they want to make more money per flight, so they make the size of the seat smaller. I think a lot of people's argument against, making flying more accessible for fat people is the belief that being fat is a choice. And being fat is something you can change if you have enough willpower or whatever. Now, I could go into a whole spiel about how body size is very much not a matter of willpower. It's mostly genetic. But that really isn't the point. The point is that everyone deserves to fly at any size they are. Everyone deserves to be comfortable. Some people have to fly for their livelihood or for visiting family. And making seats small isn't going to stop fat people from flying. They still have to fly. We still have to fly. And to put things into perspective, this isn't just an issue that affects fat people or super fat people. I'm a size 16 and I don't have very wide hips. And I was this close to not fitting in the seat that I had on my flight home in Air Transat. The bottom line is making things accessible makes everyone's lives better. And that's why you should care, even if you're not a fat person. It's all about money, guys. It's all about capitalism. They want us to be fighting each other instead of coming together and making.
If you have a big booty like I do, or if you're just curious to know more about how people with big booties fly on airplanes, this video is for you. To keep it simple, we're going to start with this one video talking about two things. Number one, do you need a second seat for your butt? And number two, do you have to pay for that second seat? All right, so number one, do you need a second seat? The standard airplane seat width in the United States is 17 inches. Some are a little bigger, some a little smaller. If you want to know for sure how wide a seat is, you can go to seatguru.com. Here you can look up any airline, any craft, and it'll tell you exactly how wide the seats are. Measure your butt. Sit down. Measure how wide you are when you're sitting, because you spread out a little when you sit, at least I do, and see how wide you are. If you're less than 17 inches, sweet, then you're good. You don't need a second seat. If you're wider than that, you're gonna need something, but you might not have to pay for a second seat. There are a couple of loopholes. Okay, so if you don't fit comfortably within a single airplane seat, you have a couple things that you can do. Number one is if you're traveling with somebody who's much smaller than you are and they don't take up their entire seat and they're willing to share part of their seat with you. So a kid, a friend, a partner who is thinner, if they're willing to share and you can both fit comfortably within the two seats allotted to you, then you're good to go. Another option is, and this is really rare, but if your flight is coming up really, really soon and you're just buying your tickets, sometimes the booking agent will be able to tell you, look, this flight is super, super empty. There's no need to buy a second seat. There's going to be no problem with space on this flight. That has happened to me a couple of times and they've always been correct, so I would trust them. But again, that only works if you're booking your flight really soon before it actually takes off. But if you're not flying with somebody who can share a seat with you, or if you don't know how full the flight is going to be, you're going to want to reserve a second seat somehow. Different airlines have different policies for this. Some make it easier than others. Start with Southwest Airlines. If you have access to Southwest, they have by far the best policy for this. If you don't have Southwest Airlines, Alaska has a good policy. Canada Air, if you're flying domestically within Canada, and KLM and Air France say that they have a policy for this, but I've been trying to book some tickets with them for a while and it's not working, so I don't trust it. I'll have to make more videos on how each of these airlines work individually because it's actually kind of interesting.
Things plus size travelers hate part 4. Struggling to find plus size friendly accommodation. The fat tax of having to pay more for everything. Having to do hours of research before travel. Struggling to find plus-size friendly rental cars. The lack of plus-size friendly seating at restaurants. Struggling to find cute plus-size travel clothing. Not knowing if the locals are rude to fat people. Having to share an Uber and being physically uncomfortable. Inaccessible bathrooms that aren't plus-size friendly. Uncomfortable seating everywhere.
Bestie, I love this, because after all we've been through so much in that comment section. You still think you know better than my doctor and I. My doctor doesn't probably think I'm like healthy. I am. I got the all clear. I'm good. But it's really funny because you saw one video of my life, one video of what I eat in one day, in 1 month, of 1 year, of my entire existence, and you think you know my health better than me and my doctor, a medical professional who is in how much debt and went to school for how many years. Where's your credentials? And what's your obsession with fat people that you just like feel like you need to speak the truth to fat people about how body positivity isn't about being obese? Like, what's your problem with fat people? Why can't you let me live? Why can't you let everyone else live? How is my existence affecting you in any way? I would love to know this.
Hi friend, this is by far the sweetest comment I think I've ever gotten, and this comment right here is exactly why I do what I do and is exactly why I am taking up space as a fat hiker, because I know exactly what it's like to be on a trail and get looks or have people question or doubt my abilities as a hiker and traveler because I am fat. And I am here to show each and every single person who comes across my profile and my videos that fat bodies can do anything. We are beautiful, we are strong, we are capable, we are able, we can do anything. And I just absolutely love that I am able to inspire others, because I love hiking and traveling and no one should take that away from us. And I just wanted to say that, and I love all of you so much, and yeah.